All right, everybody. So we are back with the next episode of Irish Iron. We finally managed to get Bryan on. So it's good to have you here, Bryan. How have you been doing with all this? Oh, Jesus.
Telling you,
How's that?
technology is not my strong point.
Look, anyone listening took 3 times, but look, third time's the best, so we're here. But well, have you been doing with all this madness going on with the lockdown and everything? Like, you're still training away, aren't you?
Yeah, I've been getting by, to be honest with you. I think everyone's world got turned upside down to some degree. Fucking wow. Even for people who their routines may not have been. Is that staying up now?
We'll see. There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Even for most people whose worlds, their routines haven't changed much, I still think that. So the lack of control over what we can and can't do is kind of been a little bit disrupting to most people.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I just got qualified to work out of gyms the week lockdown started. So it's like I haven't even got my cert yet because they can't legally send it out. So I'm just waiting for.
Limbo.
I'm in limbo, man. But you know what? It's like I tell people this: unless you're prepping for a show, or just use this time as just rest up the body and just come back. Spend time with your family and stuff.
Long out rest. 12 weeks is a long fucking rest.
Yeah, I think there's 7 more to go. So it's like at this point I've lost 10 kilos or something. But it's like it's only 10 kilos. So it's like it'll come back.
The thing that I've told people who've been saying that they feel like they're back to square one. Muscle memory is a real thing. Within 6 weeks of getting back into the gym, everything that they've lost, they'll have back on.
For sure.
It's much easier to get it back than it is to get it in the first place.
Yes.
Regarding muscle tissue, so.
Yes, like I'd be telling people as well. Like, I mean, I've some bands at home. And to be honest, like, I think for the first month they were great, but at this stage I don't get anything whatsoever from them. So I just stopped. I just stopped and I just said, I'll just leave it. I just not worry about it. But where have you been training? Have you been gotten a back door to Coliseum or something, or have you?
No, it wasn't the Coliseum. I probably shouldn't disclose. We've just been calling it the Back Cave.
I love it.
A friend of mine has a personal training studio. So there's not much free weights in the way of dumbbells and barbells, although we recently bought a squat rack because I was complaining about having no squat rack. So it's been mostly machines. But to be honest with you, using the machines and the break away from throwing around heavy dumbbells and barbells probably did me the world of good. I was still able to overload and get a bit of a stimulus without putting as much stress on the joints.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, I've 1 or 2 clients and they managed to get like a bar and maybe a couple of plates and some bands. So I literally just said to them, use this time to develop the mind-muscle connection on the areas and movements that you don't really have it on. So it's like that's all you can really do, and just prime yourself to be in a good position. Maybe get a little leaner or something, but that's really it. I mean, but you were going to compete. So, I mean, did you?
I was 5 weeks out when everything shut down.
Yeah. Were you going to do?
It didn't bother me too much. Like, I was on track, but I know that I'm still not back to where I was pre-injuries a couple of years ago. So I said, right, it obviously just wasn't meant to be. And I just wrote these. People were already planning, well, if these shows are cancelled, they'll focus on October. I automatically just wrote this year off. Said, right, I'll come back next spring. I went straight into an off-season.
Yeah, better off. I mean, like, the problem is, I tell people, it's like, even if you did October, it's like there's no guarantee there'd be a lot of people in the show either. I mean, so it's
this is the thing, and I don't want to go in and then me bust me balls, because I don't know any other way than to put 100% into prep to stand up on stage and there'd be no one else really there. You know, the interest wouldn't be there. A lot of people haven't had the ability to train, so there's no point in competing. So I said I'd rather just write this year off and focus on next year.
Deadly, deadly. Now, like at the end, have your clients been okay with all this? I mean, like I know a few people who have ended up like the mental health side of it has been much more of an impact than the physical side. So I've always
Yeah.
just said that I'd say that's more the issue. I wouldn't like physically it's grand. It's just the mental side of it would be tough for people.
I've been looking at a couple of clients own gyms or whatever, so they've been able to train. A couple of clients like Carl McConnell, he was able to build his own home gym, so he was able to train. Another client of mine, Richard Kelly, he was able to build up a pretty decent little home gym with a gazebo out his back garden. So he's been able to train recently. But for most of them, I told them from the start, the home workouts that you have are going to be shit. You're not going to build any muscle. You probably won't even maintain muscle. So it's a damage limitation exercise, and it was for their head. You're going to be training and doing some sort of exercise purely for your mindset and your mental state.
Yeah, I mean, like I'd see in America it's all opening up now, so I'd be curious to see over there what happens. Is it gonna result in another burst of cases, or are we? I'm thinking we're such a small country. Once the cases get reduced to a certain amount, I think it's literally just a case of avoiding it, the areas. I mean that's
I think it's wishful thinking to say that we're not going to get a second spike, but truly I don't believe there will be a second spike or anything near. Now we could be wrong. We could be saying in 3 months' time, oh fuck, we got that wrong. But I can't see it happen. I think we're through the worst of it, and it's just logical now to start opening things back up.
Absolutely, absolutely. But this being said, like coming into pre-injury Bryan and post-injury Bryan is like, how did you manage? Like, was it hard to kind of deal with having to change your way of training? Like, was it hard accepting that? Yeah, like walk us through that, because a lot of people would have issues with that, myself included, regards injuries and just working around it.
Obviously, I've had my fair share of injuries and niggles over the years that I've had to work around. And there's periods of time where I couldn't do it. I was a big fan of like progressive overload, low volume, high intensity stuff. So moving big weights. So obviously then when I tore the pec, that all had to go out the window. It's funny because when I tore my pec, the upper body I couldn't train initially. So for the first month I didn't do anything. Then for the next 4 weeks I started training my lower body 3 times a week. And then I started working back in the right hand side of my body, the uninjured side. But I was training legs 3 times a week, which ended up with me wrecking my knees and my hips. And they have been more of an issue regards training than the torn pec now.
Yeah. I did that. I remember there was a period I did legs 4 times a week. So I split up. I did like hamstrings, outer quads, inner thighs and calves, and then I just did a full.
You're still young. You can get away with it though.
Yeah. I wouldn't do it now in like 5 years or 10 years. But back.
We'll get to my age.
Yeah.
You'd be glad to just train them once a week.
That's it. But the thing is, like, even when you didn't train legs, they still had the condition and everything with them. It wasn't.
That's like the upper body eventually came back.
Yeah.
The legs were just downsized. The shape was there, the condition was there. The upper body size was back to probably 80 to 90%, but the legs were just completely downsized. So I didn't train legs for about 6 or 7 months at all. I couldn't train quads because my knees were fucked. I couldn't train hamstrings because my left hip and my left glute was in bits. Every time I trained it, it just kept going again. So lots of physio and rest. So that's why the legs completely downsized. And even now, they're still only coming back. I only started squatting again there 2 weeks ago for the first time in about 3 years.
Okay. And would you wrap your knees up, or would you do it without any of that kind of stuff?
Knee sleeves. Yeah. I started using knee sleeves a couple of years ago. Actually training with Larry Doyle, and he had a set of knee sleeves. He said, try them, because I would have always wrapped them, and I found the sleeve just much better. They didn't give you the extra bounce that you were relying on when you had straps.
Yeah.
it still gave your knees enough support and kept the joint warm. So yeah, I wouldn't train without the sleeves now.
Yeah, and I'd be similar enough. I started wrapping up before the lockdown, literally just about a month, but it wasn't even a heavy wrap. It was kind of just I fucked my knee up 10 years ago. So it was like I just wrapped the patella. That was it. I wouldn't wrap anything else. Just put a bit of pressure there, and it worked wonders. Not even like it was just the mental side. I could do a heavy squat, not like stress about the actual weight of it, you know. But you competed, like a lot of people would know, you competed and then you came back and you did classic, which like I think you were in great shape for it, and the condition was there, and like there were certain shots where you hung with the guys anyway. But did you feel that just held you back, like just the weight cap held you back a good bit?
Absolutely, because the reason why I decided to do classic was I'm a competitive bodybuilder. That's me. I have been for the best part of the last 15, 16 years. And when I tore the pec and then the knee injuries and all that, I thought that was the end of my career. But then I was going away on holidays and I dieted down for it. Now, the time I dieted for holidays was around the time of the Nationals. And everyone was looking at me and I was very fucking lean because I have a habit of jumping into shows at the last minute. And they thought I was doing fine. And I was like, no, I'm literally just getting ready for a holiday. But that gave me the thing again, and maybe I can do this again. But I knew I'd lost a lot of muscle. So I didn't have the muscle to go back into open bodybuilding. So I said, right, I'll give the classic a go because the weight category, I knew I wouldn't be coming in the high 80 kilos. So I said, I knew what my cutoff was for classic. It was 82. So I said, right, I'll do that. Now, even in saying that, I had to kill myself to get down to 82 kilos.
Yeah, I was just thinking in my head, like that's a lot of weight to lose. I mean, what would you usually compete about? Like 90?
Well, the last time I won class 3 in NABBA, I was 90 kilos on stage.
Okay. And that was
2016.
And that was
I managed to suck down to 85 for the Worlds a couple of weeks after that.
Yeah.
And that nearly killed me. But yeah, to drop down to 82, 81 and a half was fucking more.
Was it just water weight at that point?
Like, yeah, pretty much. And fullness, muscle fullness. Yeah. Like if you look at the shots from when I did classic, from the back, yeah, it looked great. I turned around to the front and I had a chest like a fucking 12-year-old girl, you know what I mean? And I'd no pop to me quads. I'd fucking noodle arms. So yeah, I said, this isn't for me. I tried it, didn't work out. Back to the drawing board. Yeah,
but the thing is, like I'd say it was some surreal experience standing next to the guys who are now pros.
Yeah, like Dan Colvin, the Black Panther, standing next to him, a couple of shots, posing against him, and from the rear, completely held me on. And obviously, I'm standing on stage beside guys like IB, Bejan. The muscle bellies on these guys, they're just fucking. I was like, how did you make weight and still look so big? I had to kill myself. These guys must have hollow bones. I don't know.
It's the same with Gio.
To try to compete with them, it's just crazy. I couldn't. Yeah.
It's the same with Gio because I was training with Giovanni. So anyone who's listening probably knows Giovanni. Giovanni's he's a monster. So I was training with him all through 2019 for all the preps really. The one thing I'll say about him is he just grew from doing anything. It's like when you're with those guys, just grow, and he doesn't train that hard. So it's like I'd love training with him, but he didn't train that hard. So I'd always have to train with someone like Christian or somebody who pushes themselves a lot harder. But standing beside guys like that, it's just when they put the effort in, that's when they turn pro. That's really it.
Yeah, the likes of Gio. Gio's probably the closest thing I've seen to Blessing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're saying I was training alongside him then during the two of us were meant to be competing pretty much around the same time before the coronavirus kicked in, and I was training alongside him, and he was training hard then. And you could just see him getting bigger during that.
Crazy.
He's phenomenal. There's, he could go a long, long way.
Yeah.
A long way.
Yeah, no, I know he was training hard then because he pretty much just kept to himself. I wasn't in touch with him at all. I think he just kept in touch.
He knew he was competing against me, so he had to up his game.
That's it. Would you, now he was doing, I'd say he would have done all the shows anyway. I think that's what he was, I would have hoped he would have done.
No, seriously, I think muscle contest was first on his list.
Yeah.
But if he's in shape for that and there's a show a week or two later, I'd imagine he would have jumped in as well.
For sure. That being said, I mean, you were going to do the RBBF for the first time in however long. I mean, when was the last time you did an RBBF show?
My very first show.
Your very first show?
2003.
Okay. So what was your reason for hopping back? Just maybe the Europeans or something, or was it?
No, I wanted to compete, and that was the next show that was on the calendar, so I said I'll do it. The reason why I hadn't done RBBF a lot of these years was because there was no 85 kilo category.
Oh, okay.
I knew I wouldn't get down to 80 kilos, and I knew if I was going in the under 90s and I was only 83, 84 kilos, I was giving away too much. So there was no point in me jumping into the under 90s. Now, chances are a lot of the years I could have potentially won it, but it's still, in my head, I was giving away potentially too much. If a guy was just as good as me, but 6 kilos more muscle in the same category, then I would have gotten the ass handed to me, so I didn't see the point. But now that I'm competing in the 86, 87, 88 kilo range, I felt that I could finally go in and give it a bash.
Yeah, I absolutely get that. So, like, I mean, that's pretty much the same reason I stayed away from it. It's just the weight caps. It's not more than that. It's just like I think like I shit the bed when it comes to 5 or 6 weeks out every prep. I really do. So it's like for 2019 when Christian was helping me for the first show, everything he did was great. But then it was just relationship issues, breaks up. It was the same girl throughout 2019, so she's gone. But she's in my head, she's the reason for me making a balls of it, you know, just using that as an excuse. Self-sabotage. But yeah, because I remember I looked back at those NABBA videos and I was like, oh, fuck. I shouldn't have stepped on stage. I was like a buffalo, water buffalo.
Well, come here, the fact that you can look back and be critical of yourself now, you know, like positively critical and say, okay, right, but I wasn't ready. Yeah. You know, that'll stand to you.
Yeah. I think it was a good thing though. Tommy was there and I remember it was just coming dry, don't carb up. You're not lean enough to carb up. And then I think what fucked it up was basically I took too much Lasix. I took too much Lasix, so kind of just the repeating loop just ended up doing that. And you know, but it is what it is. Like I have no regrets whatsoever about it. So, but in any regards though, I mean, it's crazy because I'm just wondering how all these shows are going to financially recover. Because I mean, not having a season, that's devastating for them. So
yeah, well, I suppose if the show was run and they don't have any overheads with regards to venue and all, then hopefully it'll just carry on from where it left off. Now the thing is, I know a lot of the shows make their money through the entry fees. So if you were going to compete now in October and you're only getting half the numbers competing because people haven't been able to train, you're not going to get as many entries. You're not going to get as many people going to watch the shows because, for example, let's say me and you are competing. We each bring 3 or 4 people to watch us. Yeah. That's what puts money in the pockets of the federations as well. So less people competing, less people going to view, less money. So I don't see how it's going to be financially viable to actually run a show. It would be easier just to nearly write this whole season off. But again, whoever's running the shows, whether it's the Bowmans with the REBBF, whether it's Paul Bourne with NABBA, or Paul Keating with the Cork show, or whoever's running the PCA, I'm sure they have their own ideas behind it and they'll run with that. So I'm just talking about from my perspective, I don't see how it's going to be financially viable to run them.
No, I'd say I would imagine the PCA will go ahead just because they have a foot in every country. So I don't think they'll stop. I think they'll keep going. And they've been running shows throughout this. And
Yeah,
I
but
think,
it's funny that you mentioned that because I mentioned this a couple of months back. There's a bit of a clusterfuck because isn't PCA and the RWBF Nationals on the same date?
are you kidding me? I didn't know that. That's
As far as I'm aware, 3rd of October, the both of them are penciled in for.
that's my birthday as well. So I'll just have to pick which one I want to watch.
And
But
there you go. That's another thing.
yeah,
People are going to have to pick between shows, pick between what they're going to see, what they're going to compete in. The federations need to talk.
yeah, yeah. I
As
mean,
far as now, I could be wrong, but as far as I'm aware, RABBF had that date penciled in from a long time ago. So why the PCA would go and try and run a show, I don't know if it's a dick measuring competition on their end or just poor logistics.
I
But I
think
think that's
I think it's competition. I think they just want to see who's going to go to what. I think the PCA are ballsy
I
enough
think
to do
that's
that.
fucking ridiculous and childish then if that's the way they
No,
think that. This country is small enough. It's hard enough to get enough people to go and see one show. Never mind going to see, you know what I mean, split between two shows. I
yeah.
think it's very, very foolish
I
for such
think
a small country.
I think the reason though, is the PCA Irish? Was the Galway show? Was it ran by like the way Mark runs the Northern Irish one? Was it run
Yeah,
by any of the guys down here? Because if it's just ran by somebody in the UK, they're not going to give a shit. Like if it's one of us, we would say, okay, we'll move it. You know.
yeah.
So I mean, that's it. So I think it's just
Maybe they shouldn't give a shit.
yeah, yeah. But that being said, I mean, the Olympia's going ahead, and that should be very, very interesting with the new venue and everything. Like, I was reading up that they were
Where's the
trying.
venue?
It's called Planet Hollywood.
Okay.
It's still in Vegas. It's still in
Yeah.
Vegas.
The week
But
before Christmas, isn't it?
yeah, and it's over 5 days, so it could be a case of they're just going to spread it out a little bit more, just for the safety, I suppose.
Right,
But
okay.
that being said, I would hope that they would make a pay-per-view for it. If people can't watch it, they should just make a pay-per-view. I mean, I'd pay for it. I'm sure you'd pay for it.
Yeah. But they usually stream it somewhere.
Yeah, it's just terrible. It's just really bad.
Yeah. If they get a pay-per-view, like you said, with less people being able to go and possibly view it now with whatever social distancing restrictions, then obviously I'm sure they would have made a lot of their money from people flying into the country for the whole expo. I'm sure that's not going to be like it usually was. So
No, no. I mean, like, what
if
is
they can
it?
pay-per-view it and give people an opportunity to still watch it, it may even bring it to a larger audience. Plus, it's an extra few quid in their pocket as well.
For sure, for sure. I mean, even with it'll be interesting to see how it carries on in 2022, or even later 2021. Sorry, because like, I mean, I think everyone's just going to I think once a certain amount of time happens, I think people are just going to say, let's just go back and just do it normally. But
I think so. Like I said
yeah,
earlier on, it could be wishful thinking. But I'd say in 12 months' time, we'll be looking back and saying, "Jeez, remember that coronavirus carry on? That was mad, wasn't it?"
crazy.
It's
But
like that already. I went over trying to get my young lad some clothes today, and the queues outside the shops, and yes, they're doing social distancing, but I queued for over an hour. I won't be doing that every fucking week, I tell you that.
was it pennies?
So it's only a matter of time before they will have to go back to some sort of normality.
Crazy. But I think like I'm very. It'll be. I know. Certain, like, all the gyms have to rearrange everything. So it'll be capped entry. It'll be you can't like jump in with people. You'll have to be spaced out. But I mean, I think the good thing of that is people will choose times to train at. So I think like when I trained, it's like 20 people there max anyway. So
that's great, but what if you don't have that luxury, or say you're booked in for a certain time, but unfortunately we live in the real world, we have jobs, we have kids, you get stuck in fucking traffic. Sorry I didn't get here for the 5 o'clock slot, it's 5:30, I'm stuck in traffic. Well, you've only got to 6 o'clock. I'm after taking 3 scoops of pre-workout.
What I'm hoping now, man, is I'm hoping what will really happen is that I'd say they'll cap people for maybe a month or something. Then after that, they'll just be like, fuck it, let's just go back.
The way I see it, if people want to train, let them train. If they want to wear a face mask, let them wear a face mask. If they're afraid they might catch anything, don't go to the fucking gym.
No.
If you're worried, you stay away. Just because you're worried and 90% of the other people don't give a shit, the world doesn't revolve around the minorities, unfortunately.
That's very true.
Majority, we live in a democratic society. Majority rules. So if 90% of the people want to go and train, go and train.
Yeah. I mean, there's the other side of it as well. Like, this whole lockdown has sparked off, like, I think, like, the whole Black Lives Matter thing. I mean, like, I see articles from kids saying that Ireland's racist, and I tell people, look, I'm not white. Ireland's not racist. Ireland's not racist as a country. You're going to get individual people who, of course, have a bone to pick with people, but that's it. I think everyone's like...
Of course. And unfortunately, just in normal society, when people get angry or emotional, they'll say something without any thought behind it. It could be racist, it could be sexist, it could be ageist, it could be whatever. Doesn't mean there's deeper inherent racism there. Irish people were the first slaves. You know what I mean? So if anyone knows about what it's like to be put down and stuff, then I suppose in theory, but then again, you have the argument. I haven't received any kind of issues regarding like the Irish slavery when you go to England. Like, that's shit is in the history.
Yeah.
And I think obviously the racism in America and in the UK is on a different level, and that needs to be stamped out. Like even today, I think it was in London, you have these Nazi groups are out protesting. Like, you don't see any of that kind of shit in this country. So to say we're racist as a nation is completely wrong.
Crazy.
Is there bits of racism here and there? Yes, of course. But it's not on the same scale and it's not on the same level as it is in a lot of these other countries.
Yeah, I mean...
Ireland are piss takers as well. That's part of our national identity. When you're growing up as a kid, whatever your biggest insecurity is, that's what you're going to get slagged about. I think that's why I have such a thick skin about being ginger.
Absolutely. I mean, I grew up with it. I grew up in an area where there is no... Oh man, I think I saw my first black guy when I was like 14. So it's like, it took a bit of time, but...
Where the fuck did you grow up?
I'm in the middle of Wicklow, so it's like there was mixing, but it wasn't like you'd have like maybe a small group. That was it. But
I grew up around coloured people all the time. Like my mom's best friend, she's half Jamaican.
Yeah.
And I was friends with her daughters. You know what I mean? So it was never an unusual thing for me to be around black people, or I just never saw it as a thing. Like, obviously people are saying black, white. I don't even see it that way.
No.
Maybe I'm different that way. I couldn't care if you're black, you're white, you're yellow, you're red. Couldn't give a bollocks. If you're sound, you're sound. If you're a cunt, you're a cunt.
That's it. And that's the thing I like about bodybuilding, man. It's all inclusive, and to be the best bodybuilders are usually they're mixed anyway. They have all the genetics from different areas of the world. They're usually the better bodybuilders. So I mean, that's it. It's like we're the fringe. We're the oddballs on the side of society anyway. So But that being said, I mean, going into this did you see that thing with the guys in Cork? The group in Cork, and they assaulted the young fella. Crazy.
That was not racially motivated at all.
No.
Like, I have friends on Facebook, and I'm seeing them saying, "Oh, it works both ways. White lives matter." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? That's nothing to do with black and white. That was a group of scumbag little shitebags stabbing another young fella." I actually conversed with Tommy Staunton about this the other day, saying, I think he was saying something about how it was so out there and unruly behaviour. And I was like, I grew up around this kind of shit.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just a sign of where I grew up in Clondalkin, around Tala, Ballyfermot. Young fellas have been stabbing young fellas for the last 30 or 40 years. It was never anything to do with race or colour back then. It was just gangs against gangs. You know, and I don't think that issue down there was any different. There's obviously a media narrative trying to make it a race thing, but it wasn't. You know, that fella, whether he was black or white, I think he was half caste, the guy in Cork.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the colour of his skin. He was just a little shitbag.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I tell people this, like, the people, like, the last person I was in a relationship, she lived in near Jobstown in an area like Feather Khan, and there was all that stuff going on, so it was just a norm. You know, I'd stay with her and would hear all the sirens and see all the craziness going on. And it is what it is. It just happens.
You call it craziness, I call it normality.
Yeah, but it's like that's the thing. It's like I think it's when people grow up and they don't experience it or they don't see any of it. That's when they're shocked, because it's like with the social media, it's on video now. It never was on video, but it happened. It always happened. I mean,
and that's another thing I don't get. If you're going to stab someone or commit a crime, don't leave any video evidence. I thought that was common sense.
Crazy. But that being said, I don't think it's necessarily. I think at the end of the day, I think there's always going to be those people who take advantage of a situation at hand, because that's all it is. It's just taking advantage of what's going on and using it as an excuse to do stuff. That's really it.
But it's like with the Black Lives Matter. People are trying to make a very, very valid point.
Yeah.
And then you have people trying to jump on, like you said, trying to sabotage, saying, "Oh, white lives matter." This isn't about white lives matter. You know, it's a specific cause, and I fully supported it, because, like I said, a lot of my friends would be black.
Yeah.
And I fully support the Black Lives Matter. But it's other, I suppose, ignorant people coming in who don't know what they're trying to just create an agenda for themselves. Let the Black Lives Matter have its moment. Let it get its point across. This is nothing about white lives matter. But again, these people are trying to make it about them and get away from the issue at hand, which is racism against, obviously, the black community. Yeah. And I think that had to be addressed.
Absolutely. And but I also think it's so different. We don't have the same. I just don't understand why so many people are in uproar about it over here. Over there, I get it. But over here, it's just, I know there's certain people who are going to the protests for the sake of doing it, like take a picture and say I was there, kind of thing. Yeah. But I think it'll die down, man. I'd say give it a couple of months, 3, 4 months, 5 months. I'd say it'll just be another event to look back on.
Yeah. There's a new group of people in society I call the permanently outraged. They're always angry at something. You know, I don't know whether they were bullied in school or they weren't hugged enough when they were kids by their parents. I don't know. But they're angry at something. You know, if it's not this, they'll be angry at that. They'll be angry at something next week. They need to be angry at something.
Yeah, absolutely. With that being said, I mean, it's like people complaining about bodybuilding. You know, placings. You see the same guys every year, and they'll put up the post saying, "Oh, I didn't work this hard to be placed in the last call out." Okay, you didn't work hard enough. You know, it's the same.
Maybe that's the thing. That's why I only had this conversation with someone yesterday, the guy I'm training with, and talking about people being pissed off with their placings. The only time I've been pissed off with a placing was because I was able to look at myself in the mirror. I wasn't making excuses. I said, you know what? I bust my bollocks. I put everything into this, and I didn't even place. What killed me was not that I didn't place, but that I worked as hard as I possibly could, and I still wasn't good enough. I was more angry at myself. I wasn't angry at anyone else. I didn't try and blame anyone else.
Yeah.
What killed me was that no matter how hard I tried, it still wasn't good enough. What did I need to do to be good enough when I've worked as hard as I possibly can? Whereas people will always try and find an excuse, I've waited in place, oh, I got my carb up wrong, oh, I did this, or I should have done that. No, just say you did everything you possibly could and you just weren't good enough on the day. There's no harm in admitting. Like, again, I tell clients this all the time. If you look the best you've ever looked, right, and you don't place, or you place last because you're beaten by 10 guys or girls who just happen to be better than you on the day, so be it. They were better than you. Go back to the drawing board, go back in a year or two's time and try and chip it off. That's why I started my very first show. I was last place. And I said, right, and then I moved on, and I moved on, and I moved on. Every couple of years, I was just getting better.
Yeah.
Kept trying to improve myself.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. I think my issue was I kind of hopped straight into the top 5. So it's like, I think as a junior, I managed to wing it a lot of the way. I know I winged it a lot of the way. Like, I remember dieting for 2017, and it was like, looking back, it was a piss take of a diet. Like, it was an absolute piss take, but I managed to, it worked to an extent because I was so young. Everything just seems to work when you're young.
You were shit, but everyone else was shitting around you.
Yeah, pretty much. So I was kind of just, but that's the thing. It was like, but then the 2019, like you said, it was when I came in finally at the last show, when I went with Anthony and Carl over to the PCA finals. Even though I didn't place, I was happy out because it was like, I was dry and it was just a good peak, you know. It was the first peak.
You did everything right. Yeah. Just the guys, we got to face this world that sometimes we're not going to be the best, no matter how hard we try. There's always going to be someone better than us out there.
Yeah. I mean, seeing some of those guys walk around was like, they're pros in 2 years. Like, some of those guys are going to be like IFBB pros in like 3 years or 2 years, and I was kind of I was just looking at them like, fuck. And then you see all the UK pro scenes. So you had Ant Bales was out there. You had Jamie Johal. You had Kuba. You had all the guys, and I was just like, okay, I've a lot of work to put in until I do it again.
Level upon level upon level upon level.
Crazy. So I loved it though as a fan. You know, as a fan, it's just good to see it. I mean, like, when you went, like, how did you do when you first went international? Did you place when you first went abroad? Or
that was probably last place.
Yeah.
It's gas because I remember the first international show I did was the World Championships in 2010. I think I was in the second or third column. I don't know where I actually placed, but I remember the first time doing the Mr Universe. I just come off an overall NABBA win. Currently the best bodybuilder in Ireland. You go over there, boom, second last. That's a wake-up call. No matter how good you think you are, there's levels upon levels upon levels above you.
Was that 2012 or was that
2012? Yeah.
2012, yeah. Crazy.
So I think I got the official scorecard. I was 13th out of 15 or something like that.
Were they just? Was it just they were just a bit bigger? Because I mean, conditions never.
Better than me, bigger. Yeah. I was fucking tiny. I was fucking 83 kilos on a Mr Universe stage. You know, straight glutes aren't good to you when you're giving away 3 stone of muscle to everyone else. You know, it's just that's bodybuilding.
Yeah, I mean, the only time I've ever really been annoyed, and I joke about it. Look, at the time I was annoyed, but looking back on it, I laugh about it. Was when Gio leapfrogged over me and Mark Hodson and bet me. I mean, that was the one time I was like, I was a bit confused because I bet him the week before, you know. But looking back on it, I was like, I joke with him now. I say, you know, I bet you one time. So it's like, like, I'll always have that over him. But he, like, I wouldn't, like, there's levels, and he's just a bit further ahead at this point in time. So I can admit that, you know what I mean? Like, but I'll always joke with him and say, yeah, I've managed to beat you once.
You'll always have that one over them.
That's it. I mean, but even
in 3 years' time, when Gio's a pro, you can throw that dig in and say, I beat you.
Oh man, it's the same as Christian though. I mean, Christian's come on. Oh, gee, he's a different animal now. I mean, like looking at him now, I'm kind of just like, oh, what's happening?
What
Like,
he's done in the last 2 years is just it's mind-boggling.
yeah,
Himself, obviously, Gio, Darren Farrell, they're
Darren,
some of the most the improvements these guys have made in the last 2 or 3 years. Just like, how the fuck did you not? How did you make so much improvement in those 2 years? Yet you didn't do anything near like that in the previous 6 or 7.
I think
I
it's
think Christian was always on the rise.
yeah,
He's even surpassed. I always knew Christian would go to the very top, but I think even he surpassed even what I thought he was going to achieve. How big he's got while staying so lean. I can't get my head around.
yeah. I told him, I
Whereas I
said,
thought Christian, I don't think he understands how it's happened either, but it
yeah,
has.
yeah. I mean, like I was training with him. Maybe I think it was like before lockdown anyway, and it was a case of. I remember he told me he was so lean that he had no cushion in his knees. So it's like he always had knee issues. So there's like
Yeah,
the downside to being so lean is you can't train. Like you
yeah,
just can't train the same way. Um,
yeah.
like I mean, did you have to adapt your training when you got leaner during preps, or did you kind of just keep it the same?
I train exactly the same. Maybe that's why my joints are fucked. um, no, I never changed my approach. I always went as heavy as I physically could, while obviously keeping good enough form.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I found my issue was genuine. It wasn't. I think it was more mental. I was kind of afraid that I would hurt myself a little bit. When I got lean, like I mean, I found when I was training the first half of 2019, I did all what I used to do in the off season, so I kept all my size anyway. And then as I kind of progressed, I kind of switched over. I wasn't doing certain things like just free weights and as much,
Yeah,
and I lost fullness. Like that was the only thing. But I mean, if you don't have an injury on a certain movement, why throw it out? You know?
that's whether I knew what I was doing at the time. That's how I always trained. I always trained the same. The only thing that changed when I went into prep was calories came down and cardio went in and went up. But
Yeah.
training always now, the way I've trained over the years has changed, but
Mm.
that hasn't been whether it was prep or off season. It's I'd go from an off season straight into prep, and training style wouldn't change. Even though I've adapted my style over the years, there was nothing to do with getting lean.
Mm. I found, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, um, I'll go back because I mean, even as a junior, I remember vividly, um, like I was still incline pressing, like on the like 1 week out as a junior, I was still pressing the same weight I was during the peak off season. But back
Right.
then, back then I didn't give a shit. Like I just didn't. I think I wasn't overthinking. I was kind of just having fun with it. And then it's like when I came back, it was kind of I had fun, but I think all the personal stuff outside of bodybuilding, it was just taken away from it. It just wasn't as fun as I wanted it to be. Like
Yeah. Well, that's it. Life's going to get away, and emotional stress will drag you down as well, just as much as the physical stress will.
for sure, for sure. But I mean, going ahead, like I mean, do you want to compete one more time, or do you want to keep on going? Like if your body feels fresh and healthy,
I keep going. Fuck that.
yeah,
As long as I can.
yeah, you're gonna
Um,
like you'll be in,
when I tore the pec, I thought it was done.
yeah,
Then I realised I could try the classic. And then I've learned how to walk around the injuries.
yeah,
And as long as I can keep training, I keep competing.
yeah. I mean, when like you'll be old enough to do the masters now soon enough.
Go fuck yourself.
But
Now, technically next year, the end of next year, I could probably do the Masters. I'm
okay,
38, so
okay,
I'm 39 this year. So depending on the date, either next year or the year after, I can step into the Masters. But as long as I can compete in, the classes, I won't be jumping to Masters
oh
in
for
2020.
sure. I mean,
I
like
know I'll cancel it. You know, he probably at his peak now over the last couple of years, and he's mid-40s. You know, Tony Mount's another one who kept excelling. There's a few guys who have just gotten better and better as they've gotten older. As long as you can stay injury-free.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'd talk to Niall a good bit, just because I said I wanted to go back to basics in terms of what I was doing just with the diet. Because the training, it was just the diet. I just said, "What do you do, Niall?" And he said, "I just eat, like, I just blend all my oats for carbs, and I eat like chicken, steak, rice, and potatoes." And I was like, "Wait a sec, that's what I used to do when I was like 18, 19, and that's when it all worked. Like, that's when I'm 21. That's when I blew up, with like significantly from my previous weight anyway. So I just said, I'm just going to do what he does. I'm just going to just kind of just mirror what he does and see if it works in terms of dieting, Because he always comes in condition. He's not off. Like, he knows what he's doing. So why not see what happens,
And he's the biggest motherfucker out there as well.
Oh, stop. I mean, I was training upper body with him, and it's very old school. It's very old school. It's just, you don't stop training. It's like very high volume. So I don't really do, I wouldn't be a volume guy. Well, I say I'm not a volume guy, but I probably am a volume guy, but not that kind of volume,
Yeah.
So, but I mean, in terms of people who train hard, would you say there's, like, you've trained with everyone that I would know anyway. I mean, but would you be picky about who you train with? No.
Not really. I train with by myself a lot of the time. The last while I've been training with Miguel. Before that, Cahill, I was training with him. I was trained with Larry Doyle for years. Whoever I train with generally is quite a hard trainer. But there's days I'll be in the gym and I'll see just one of my mates and they'll jump in and they'll train with me. Leg day is different.
Yeah, I'd be the same. It's not even that I won't train with people. It's probably the poundages. It's more the poundages. So it's just like upper body's fine, but I would say back and legs I do on my own, just for the poundages.
Definitely legs. Because if you're loading up a squat bar, heavy RDLs, leg press, you're not going to train with your girlfriend or your skinny mate that plays football and goes to the gym twice a week, because it's just too much effort taken on and off the plates. Yeah. But a lot of the other stuff I'd have no problem training with anyone. Like, I'll train with clients occasionally. So yeah, it doesn't really bother me. So I'm used to training on my own the last while before the lockdown I was. So if someone was there and wanted to jump in, I generally wouldn't have a problem. Now during prep, maybe not so much. I get a little bit more introverted when I'm in prep, a little bit more focused.
Okay.
And then I can do it less distractions. But during the off season, I'll often do a set and go and have a joke and a laugh for 3 or 4 minutes before I come back and do the next set.
Yeah, I'd be the opposite. I find during prep I need company. Literally just to keep me, like, I don't need to talk to them really or anything like that, but it's literally just having somebody there. Yeah, and I was lucky enough that I had I trained with Gio. I was training with I had Anthony and I had and Christian and a few others, so I had people on rotation anyway, so it wasn't too bad. But did you find now, I'm not sure you're like me, like, I can't flick heavy dumbbells up, so it's like I always try to make sure I have somebody there for chest or something, because I can't flick the dumbbells up. It's just, I just don't know how to do it. I've tried to do it.
I've moved more to barbell work, or else lighter dumbbells for more reps since I tore the pec. I haven't been able to, because I tore my bicep before about 10 years ago as well. Yeah. So that's led to the issue. So throwing dumbbells up isn't as easy as it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, like, you can ask Christian this, but I remember in 2014, 13, he refused to hand up weights that I couldn't flick. So it's like, I remember I got stuck lifting the same weight. So I laugh about it now, because like now it's like he'll do it. But it's back then, it was quite funny. So it's like I got stuck. I was inclining the 45s for a good 5 months because like I just couldn't do anything more. But now I'd like yourself. I'd switch to I'd do incline, like I'd do Smith or maybe barbells just for ease of access, and then flat press I can do myself. Like that's fine. So, but I mean,
I don't like training with people stronger than me because I have to fucking throw dumbbells up to them. That takes up too much energy.
Like I mean, like but I mean, training with them, like this guy's throwing around some weight though. I mean, like you have Christian, you have Bryan, squatting 300 kilos in his back garden. Like, and I know him, Paul Hannigan, and those three would train fairly often. I was like, oh, I'll have to. I was saying, oh, I'd love to hop in, but I would be so demoralized after just being shown up. I mean, like I've never, like I mean, that's you used to train Bryan, didn't you? You used to work with him a little bit.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, yeah. And even back then, I remember the first time training with him, and he goes, "I'm not very strong. I can only squat 100 kilos." I think at the end of that first session, he'd gone up to 180, and he still had more in the tank. He said, "There's something wrong with you. You're way stronger than you think you are."
Yeah.
Brian's a freak. Like I was actually commenting on one of his posts the other day, and he said, "Some people will say this is ridiculous." And I says, "Yeah, but he's still a freak. Like walking lunges of 180 kilos, fucking, it's ridiculous. It's like insane. I worry about his knees, but to have that kind of power, it's incredible." And Christian, I've seen Christian throw up to 60, 65 kilo dumbbells to himself for shoulders.
70s.
Throw them up and shoulder press, and I'm like, how? I can't even get my head around how these guys can lift and do these things.
I mean,
I consider myself strong, but these two boys that you mentioned, Christian and Bryan Hickey, they're on another level.
Yeah, I mean, I could keep up. I have no problem with keeping up on certain movements. So it'll be like if you put me on a leg press,
concentration curls.
Yeah, or maybe like side raises or something. But no, like, but no, I like you probably the same. Like, I mean, I always remember you as a good squatter back before you stopped squatting. Like you were squatting like, what was it? You and Larry had that challenge. What was it like? What was the squat challenge?
We started just going as many as we could. I think he got up to, we brought up to 220.
Yeah. 4
reps. I think he got 7. I ended up finishing out with 11 or 12 reps on 220.
Nice. And did you find like, I mean, what's your take on squatting as a bodybuilding exercise? I mean,
fucking love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But see that squat battle with Larry, that went on for a couple of months, and I think you last Larry to this day were both still fucked. I think that's why both are hips. I think that pretty much ended his bodybuilding career.
Okay. Do you think that's why Larry stopped? Just injuries and just okay.
And I wasn't far behind him. I'm not. I haven't been much better myself. But that wrecked the two of us. It was good crack.
Look, I can imagine. I said to Larry he should have gone into powerlifting because he was very strong on certain movements. But I mean, I saw him around. I remember I'd see him around and he'd lost like 20 kilos, but he seems happy. He's doing well.
He's flying.
Yeah. So I'm like, fair play to you.
I was only talking to him recently. I think he has a bit of an issue with his shoulder as well.
Yeah.
Because I talked to him and he's putting out all this stuff, and I can see there's a burning desire in him to get back into bodybuilding. And he even says it himself that the itch is still there, but it doesn't suit his lifestyle right now and his business model. So he's doing what suits him best right now. But I say you'll see him on a bodybuilding stage again. It may be when he's 40, when he goes into the Masters, but mark my words, if I was to put money on it, Larry Doyle would be back on the bodybuilding stage.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I remember talking to him, and I asked him if he wanted to come on the YouTube when I started the YouTube, but he just said because he's not involved in it, it's too not painful, but if he's not going to do it, he's not going to do the media for it. He's not going to do anything. So I get that. If you're not doing it, you're not doing it. But I mean, is there any like guys who I remember like you'd have these bodybuilders in Ireland, especially like they'd win a show, or they'd come out and they just look phenomenal, and then they just disappear off the scene. I mean, you have guys like Enda's making his comeback. Actually, Enda's coming back.
Is he?
Yeah, in 2022, he's working with Tommy. So I have him coming up in July. I just messaged him. I messaged him. I didn't know he was competing him, but Tommy had said, "Oh, talk to Enda." So I think he knew. Well, he obviously knew because he's helping him. But he was one guy who I'd love to see come back, because his last showing wasn't at his best at all.
No, his last show, by his standards, was terrible. Now, by most people, he's still incredible. But the problem is when you set the bar so, like, I know that sounds harsh saying terrible, because he did look terrible, but when he set the bar so high, anything below that is considered not good enough.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's where he was his last couple of shows. But if Enda got back near where he was at his peak, it'd be scary. It'd be very dangerous.
I mean, how old is he? He must be around 37, 8, 9 now.
Yeah, he's a year younger than me.
Okay.
He looks 10 years older, but he's a year younger.
but he's dead on. I mean, I'd be excited to see him, because the first show, I've watched him compete twice, and he's a tall guy as well. It's always impressive to see a taller bodybuilder who's filled out, because you don't see that.
He was just, his delts were just so big. I think his quads were underrated. His quads were actually massive. His calves were fucking huge. You know, he had his abs, the way his abs was lined up was brilliant. He had the looks, you know. The one thing he didn't have was posing. Okay. He was a horrendous poser.
Yeah, I remember the first show I did. I actually remember it's not Enda related, but it's related to posing. I remember Jamie Conway was in the show, and I remember he was cramping up or whatever so bad, he was sweating profusely. He couldn't hold his poses, and I just remember.
That was the NABBA show, was it?
Yeah.
He collapsed backstage.
Great. I didn't know that. Like, I just
went to run back with bags of ice and bottles of water for him. Yeah.
That's crazy. He's gone. He's another guy who had potential, and I don't think he wants to compete anymore. I mean, he used to train.
I haven't seen him.
Yeah, I mean,
regarding Enda, I've actually seen Enda lose a world championship because of posing.
Okay.
The same show that I did, my first international show, was his as well in Malta.
Yeah.
And I'm really sure it was that show, and he finished second. And I'm telling you now, it was because of his posing and presentation.
Was it he won?
Otherwise, he would have won the world championships back in 2010.
He won his class, didn't he? He won his yeah.
Did he win his class?
Or what was the show he won?
No, he was second in his class.
Okay.
In Malta. Yeah, and he should have won. Only for his presentation let him down.
Okay, I thought he won the show. No,
2011. He won it in Brazil, 2011.
Okay.
Yeah, a year more muscle, a year to practice his posing.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I tell people. Like, I knew. Like, I mean, I pose every day, even when I'm not in prep or anything. So it's like, it's kind of just second nature at this point. Just for, I love doing it. I have a playlist on my phone. I'll show you. It's you'll have a laugh at this. I have a playlist. So from the years of like 2014 onwards, I made a posing playlist. So it has like 20 different songs on it. Just 40, 30 ton of songs just to pick on. And I had no routine to most of those songs. So it's like whenever I pick a show, I just send on 3 different songs and just, all right, there we go. Let's do it. But
I'm the exact opposite. I've often got on stage or stood backstage with no routine. I made it up as I was waiting to be called.
Okay. You wouldn't know.
I just wing it. I've winged it I don't know how many times. Or I get to the venue that morning, hand in me music and have no routine and spend the morning just 5 or 10 minutes routine together. Okay, that'll do. I am terrible for practicing posing.
Yeah. But would you find once you have your transitions down, it's like, I mean, like,
It's easy.
yeah, I mean, what I tell people is like, look, they're gonna fuck up your song at some point, like it happens. For
It's
at least
never happened to me. Never happened to me.
are you serious? It's happened to
Never, not once. Touch wood. My music has never. They've never made a balls of my music.
Oh man, I mean that's gas, because it's like I'm just looking back and I'm like, I think for at least out of the 10 shows I've done, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure about 7 of them have, or 6 of them have been the wrong song. So
I'd crack up.
Yeah,
I think I'd actually crack up.
but
Imagine
now,
spending 16 weeks and all that effort into putting a routine together, and then you make a balls of it.
yeah,
Oh, I
I
go
mean,
mad.
it's either that or it's like you mistime it. So it's like you're trying to make up for lost ground when you're in routine, and you just like you probably look fine, but in your own head you're like, oh fuck, I look like a monkey up here.
That's happened to me once or twice. I've forgotten your routine mid-pause and like shit, and then you just end up winging it, and people don't notice.
I think
Maybe that's
that,
the reason why I don't bother putting a routine together, is whether I practice or not, no one can tell the difference.
yeah. I mean, would you find though? I mean, like that, but that's what guys like Kevin Levrone and he never had a routine. He just went up and did it. He would just hit those like
Really?
transitions. Yeah, he would just hit those transitions and the signature poses, and everyone would love it. So it's like I think once you know how to pose, it's fine. You don't need to worry about it. But it is the decider, as you said. If you're neck and neck with somebody who's like, even if somebody's in better shape than you are, and you're like a little bit off, but you're good enough, and they don't know how to pose, you have a chance of out muscling them for sure.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
hear about it all the time. People trying to out-angle each other in their Instagram pictures.
I just laugh at that, man. I mean, do you remember the filtering? I think it's like the filtering when you're prepping and you're sending, or like I had no coaches who would get their pictures from their clients and they'd be all grainy and hard, and then you look at like yeah, and I'm just like, I just laugh at that. It's like it's absolutely different if you're doing it for a photo shoot or something, but if you're sending pictures to your coach, I mean that's just
That's why I don't really do online coaching. I meet all my clients meet me face to face.
yeah. See, the only
And
guys
the lighting in my office is terrible.
yeah.
So if you look good in my office, you know you look really good.
Yeah, so it's just a case of like come in shape then. So you can't be
That's
off.
it. Yeah,
But I mean,
exactly.
no, see, I've only had two. I prepped 2 guys for shows, but it's been men's physique guys. Which that's not knocking men's physique. I just said to myself after that, I'm not going to prep men's physique guys. Literally, just like this ain't to knock on they were it was like I think they were doing it for social media. So I remember I got to the point where I told one of the guys 2 weeks out, you haven't been listening to anything I've said to you. You haven't followed anything I've said to you, because he kept sending me excuses. So I just said, I'm just not going to help you. You can do the last couple of weeks on your own. End of story. Like, it's a waste of your time. It's a waste of my time. Where I found like you'll get like as a person, like I remember when I stopped working with Christian, I just told him I just wanted to do it myself. I've always said, like, as a client, like, it's your job to give feedback to your coach. If you don't want to work with a coach, just end it. Simple as.
Yeah.
I mean, how have you found that experience? I mean, with your clients generally, like you've had a good track record, absolutely. So I mean, I'm sure like the relationship you built is fairly strong between
that's one of the reasons why I do the face-to-face work with my clients, and it's not just online, because you need to build up a relationship with the people that you're working with. You need to get them into a position where they trust you, because without that trust, they're not going to follow what you're telling them as much as they need it. But I've experienced it across the board, from giving someone everything and I'm giving you nothing in return, to other people, you give them the most simplest instructions and they follow it to a T.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing it all. I suppose that's where the difference comes down to dealing with individual personalities. You can't treat everyone the same all the time. There's times where you need to give someone an arm around the shoulder and a pep talk. Other times you need to kick up the arse. You know, sometimes they need to be kind of coerced into doing certain things. Other times they need to be told, listen, this is the way it is. Some people like really, really strict, rigid diets. Some people like more flexible approaches, but it's very, very individual dependent.
Yeah, I definitely found my own experience when I was working with Christian, it was great in the off season because there was so much food.
Yeah.
But I think the way my brain operates is on simplicity. So I think the way he was dieting me anyway, it was great, like, because there was so much variety, but it was on my end, there was just too much.
You would have been rather been told chicken, broccoli, and rice 6 times a day.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, pretty much. That's me. It's like I cannot once simple. Like, I know for a fact the next time I prep, it's just going to be that. You know, just keep it simple and
that's a point that I tell a lot of clients, is that if you want to step on stage, and that is your goal, to be the best version you can be on a competitive stage, you should be willing to do chicken, broccoli, and rice 5 or 6 times a day. Absolutely. Now, that's not saying that's what you have to do, but you should be willing and prepared to go to those extremes if you want to be a competitive physique athlete. Because at the end of the day, it's an extreme sport.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to eat your Dominoes and your ice cream and all, then again, some people can get away with doing that every now and again during the prep. But if that's what you want, then maybe competing as a bodybuilder is not for you. You know.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. I agree. I think one of the mistakes I made when I was told to have a cheat meal, it would kind of just turn into a cheat day. So it's like
you made a pig of yourself.
Yeah, so I just do better without that. It's like I'm kind of like, if I need extra calories or carbs, I'll just rotate in maybe an more intra workout, or maybe just have some more carbs after or before training. It's too much risk for myself to do anything like that. I wouldn't.
That's the thing. People have trigger foods.
Yeah.
You know, foods that once they get a bit of, they struggle to stop. And other people can be given a certain amount of flexibility and leeway. They're told, right, you can have this, but you can have this amount. And they're fine with that. It's like the amount of times over the years, I don't see it as much anymore. And people saying, oh, my coach is great. He lets me have jellies after training. I'm like, when you're in prep for the show, you're only on 50 grams of carbs a day. You have 50 grams of carbs from jellies. It's fucking 6 sweets.
That's like 2 jellies.
You're starving. Tell me how great your coach is. Have it from oats, have it from rice, have it from potato. It'll fill you much more. In the off season, that's great. Like, and I do it myself because I have a shit appetite. Okay. So I have to use a lot of liquid carbs. I use a lot of Rice Krispie bars, Tesco cookies and stuff on top of my oats and rice and all that, just to try and push my carbs up. Because if I was to try and do my 500 grams of carbs a day from purely oats, rice, potato, wouldn't happen.
Yeah, that's what Christian had me doing.
Would not happen. Yeah.
That's what Christian had me doing, but that man has an appetite. He can put food away.
I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, so my appetite grows. It does grow. But even at that, like, I remember, I think peak off season, it was like 1,000 grams of carbs a day at the peak, but it was 80% clean. It was disgusting. It was too much. It was like,
I couldn't go above 300, 350 grams of clean carbs a day.
Okay. So, I mean,
even throwing in dirty carbs and all that, I struggled to put 500 carbs away. Really? I couldn't do that every day. My digestion would just seize up and I have to fast.
Okay.
I can't do it. Simple as that, I can't.
That's very interesting because, like, I would know it would be certain foods that do that to me. So I found, like, if I keep it simple, like, again, I would drink like the oats, of banana, peanut butter, and whole milk and protein powder, and I drink that maybe twice a day or 3 times a day if it has to be done, and then just eat 3 solid meals around that. That's fine.
I couldn't do that.
That would knock you out. That would set you.
I couldn't do it. That's what people always say. Oh, how do you stay so lean? Because I have a bikini girl's appetite. That's what I joke. I have a terrible appetite.
Okay. So you
It's why
prep.
prep is so easy for me.
Yeah, I was about to
I
say.
bulk on 3.5, 4,000 calories a day. I
Okay.
diet on about 3,200.
But you're probably also in a place where you don't get too off your I mean, I don't get me wrong, I think there's merit to gaining weight when you want to grow, but there's
Yeah.
also the downside of it is, are you going to put on, like I'd tell people, stay within 15 kilos, like just stay within 15 kilos. Anything above 15 kilos, it's just a waste of
I
time.
wish I could go 15 kilos. I can't push more than 8 or 9 kilos above stage weight.
Okay, that's mad.
I'm 94 kilos now, and if I was to prep for the show, I'd be on stage at 87.
Okay, that's mad. Like I always.
And I am literally, if you saw my diet, I'm eating chocolate every day. I'm eating takeaways 3 or 4 times a week. Liquid carbs on top. I eat whatever I want. As long as I'm eating all my protein and good stuff, I can eat whatever I want. And I struggle to get put on any weight because I get to a point where my digestion will shut down and I'll have a week of eating 3 meals a day. So it basically just balances out the stuff from the week before.
Yeah, no, you're bang on that. Like, I mean, even after a show, would your appetite be, like, I mean, would you? No, okay.
Because my last couple of shows, I carb up heavy before I get on stage. Like last year, the 2 shows I did last year, I put away over 1,000 grams of carbs, 1,200 grams of carbs in the space of 20 hours before getting on stage. So I was eating everything I wanted. So once the show was over, I wasn't hungry. I had no cravings. I went back onto my diet. Simple.
Okay. Now that's absolutely that and the thing is as well, you actually come off. Like you actually come off your stuff as well. Like me, I know bodybuilders. Like I think last year after the shows, I got the bloods done. I did the clay. I came off, did the whole thing, and then you know, I'd always tell people this when I'm helping someone. Just if you're doing if you're gonna stay on, at least get your bloods done every 2 or every 3 months. Like that, like if you're going to stay on, like I mean, like I know certain people don't come off, like certain pros and like high level guys wouldn't because it's not feasible. But it depends on the goal really at the end of the day.
Your body does need some downtime. Having super physiological levels of any hormone for an extended period of time is probably going to be asking for trouble. So even if it means cruising for long periods between cycles, even that's not going to be unhealthy because your body doesn't know that you're taking X or Y. It just recognizes a set level of the hormone in the body. So whether it's coming from a needle or it's coming from your balls, your body doesn't know the difference. You know, it just sees a level of hormone and it can operate completely fine with that. Yeah,
I mean, I joke around and say like I mean, I'd like you said there, I'd be like TRT, it would be 150. You know what I mean? It would be nothing. So it's like, but that's it. I mean, but then again, it's like I tell people like obviously come off if you want to have a baby and stuff like that. But then again, you get the cases where it just happens. I mean, like I'm sure there's plenty of bodybuilders who just have babies when they're on cycle. But then again, your gear could be bunk. So it could be anything. Like, I mean, there's no set way of telling things, but I have a few questions for you anyway, man. I got Brian Ward, Ian McGarry, and Craig Knowles. So I'll start off with Brian.
What did Brian Ward say? Brian Ward say?
Battle of the Gingers, who wins?
We'll find out next year.
Deadly. I mean, he's another guy. He's a guy. I love Brian. He looked phenomenal before the injury. You know, he's and he's come back as well. So are you going to compete in the same show? You're going to have a show?
Oh yeah, whatever show he's doing, I'm doing.
Deadly. Love it. Now the next question I have is from Ian, and it kind of ties into what we were saying earlier. It's what qualities makes a great coach?
There's a few, and you can have coaches that have lots of experience but no real knowledge of the body, and you can have the opposite way. You can have coaches that have a lot of knowledge of the body and no real experience in competing, I don't think either of those are going to make a great coach across the board. So I think you need some knowledge, some experience, because without experience, you're not going to have the empathy of knowing what it feels like when you're in those positions. You know, for example, someone could tell me, oh, I'm starving, I can't survive, I have to work, you know, my brain isn't functioning, I need more carbs. No, you have to go zero carb. Bollocks. That's going to get you nowhere. So empathy is a good one. And I suppose honesty then as well, because you need to be honest with your client in order to get them to be honest with you, because you can't have them hiding stuff from you because you won't be able to correctly guide them. So I think they're the main attributes, I suppose. Most good coaches.
I'd agree. I'd absolutely agree, because like
and having good morals about health as well. Not just looking for the fucking before and after picture. You know, thinking of the long-term effect of everything that, like, whoever's coming to you, they're hanging on every word you tell them as gospel. You know, so you want to make sure that when they're all is said and done, that you haven't fucking ruined them physically, mentally. So I think that's a big one as well. Something I always tell clients, especially people that come to me for that first show, I tell them, I don't care if I put you on stage and you could have had you 10% better, but it would have risked your health or anything. I'd rather put someone on stage 80 to 90% of their potential, but have them walk away from that show and say, do you know what? I didn't place, but I really enjoyed that. I can't wait to do that again. Rather than butcher them, they come home with a poxy tin trophy and say, do you know what? That was horrific. I'm after binging up 3 stone in the last 2 weeks. You know, my hair's falling out. I'm depressed. I can't get a horn. You know, all this kind of carry on. So I'd rather keep them healthy and build on their success on the long term.
Sure. No, the only thing I would add to that is, like, regards to client feedback, it's like, the only thing I was upset about with this season not going ahead was that I was going to have my first bodybuilding client in a show, and he was great because he would give me, he is a junior, I think he's going to do it for spring 2020, next spring now anyway. So, but I remember at the time, all I said was, look, anything I just give me the feedback. If you want to ask anything, if you want any information, just ask. Don't be afraid to ask. I mean, that's what I'm here for. And just do your end, and absolutely on my end, I'll do my part. But I was kind of let down because I was like, I want to get him leaner than I got, just to see if he places. But no, I agree. That's all I'd have to add. I think it's 50-50. I think it's definitely, you have to have a good working relationship. I mean, I had one client, and then I don't think it was any. Apparently I found out later on he stopped working with what I was helping him with halfway through the prep, but he only told me after the show, and I was like, look, if you just told me beforehand, I would have could have sat down and I would have just said, if you want to do it yourself, that's fine. But he felt obligated to pay me, and I was like, it's not about the money for me. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like, I want to make a career in this, but I won't be a prep coach. I just want to help the everyday person, you know. But if someone wants to be prepped, it's more of it's fun, you know. I'm sure you enjoy every bit of it, you know. I'm sure you love it. Right? Most of it. Most of it. Deadly. But the next question ties into it. It's, how did you come about with your own supplement company? How did that happen? So,
a friend of mine had owned a supplement company, and I'd given him feedback on a couple of potential products, and he developed them. So I had a kind of sort of a hand in developing the ingredients for some of the products, the EAA, and then the pre-workout, because I suffer with a lot of anxiety.
Okay.
And most of the pre-workouts didn't agree with me. So the one that we designed was hydrocharge. It's more of a nootropic kind of effect. So it's more for mental stimulation and focus. And then it was his company. I just gave him my feedback and stuff. And he decided that he needed to step away to follow other kind of business ventures. So I just bought the company off him.
Deadly.
And that was like he told me, and I knew the products obviously inside out. And I believed in them. I trusted them. Obviously, I was using them. And yeah, so I bought the company off him, and I just ran with it.
Yeah, deadly. I mean, how's that been? Like, how's that been working during the lockdown? I mean, has it kind of stopped a little bit?
No, it's tipped away during the lockdown. Obviously, the gyms and all shops were closed, so there wasn't many large sales, but people were still buying tubs of protein. Sales of pre-workout right now, because nobody was working out. But no, it tipped away during the lockdown, and yeah, it's still tipping away in the background.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, regards to pre-workouts, I mean, I remember I'm the prick who brings somebody to the gym and I say, yeah, take 4 scoops of this. So I remember I had two.
We've all been there.
Remember I had 2 tubs. I remember Christian gave me 2 tubs of pre. It was I can't remember what they were, but like yourself, I wouldn't take big amounts. I'd actually steer away from them. But these were okay, so I just said I'd use them. And I gave this lad who hadn't touched anything, like, and he couldn't sleep. He was getting the shakes. Give him, I could have killed the poor fucker. But there is some pre's that are. Do you remember the days like Jacked, and you had like American pre's that are probably mixed with them, especially the older pre's. They had all that.
MAA.
Oh my god! Yeah, like, I mean,
they were interesting. It got to the point where we'd be taking them for a big chest arm workout on a Friday night, getting changed and straight to the local pub and nightclub. Round up on pre-workout.
Yeah, my mom used to think I was coming out. My mom used to think I was taking doing lines in the gym. It's like, no, I was like, because I was like 16. I was coming out of the gym absolutely buzzed up. It's just a pre-workout. But I mean, do you find like would that be your best selling? That would be your favorite product, the pre-workout you have, probably, or would there be?
Yeah, like obviously protein powder is protein powder.
Yeah.
You know, obviously the protein probably is the biggest seller because everyone uses protein powder. That's pretty much into trainers as recovery and getting in their overall protein intake. But outside of that, I'm a fan of the pre-workout because of the ingredients and how effective it is. There's no crash, no come down. So yeah, no, it's good.
Deadly, man. No, I mean, I found, and the only thing you have to do, man, you have to promote it a bit more. It's like,
don't start that. Yeah. I'm terrible. I'm terrible.
Well, look,
I haven't the time nor the energy to invest. I need to be out on the road, traveling around the country promoting it.
Yeah. I get you.
Sort itself out.
But I think I think at the end of the day, I mean, the expos and the shows are probably the best bet to promote it.
Yeah.
Set up a table and just have Cahill do it or something because it's easier.
Yeah, well, that's what I did. Irish Muscle Power last year.
Yeah.
I had a stand at that.
If you need any help with the stands or anything, I'll do it for the crack. I won't do it I'll just do it for free. I just want to be doing something.
A few tubs of protein, selling yourself.
Yeah, that'll be good enough. No, but genuinely.
Get your ass out, hold up a tub of pre-workout.
There we go. No, I find like the only thing, because it's great to see an Irish company. I mean, there's not very many. I mean, you had Wesley with his Matador stuff.
Yeah.
That was years back. I mean, is that still being made? The Matador stuff? No. I remember the mass gainer from that. And I remember, was there any other Irish companies? I'm sure Hugh has his, the Warrior.
Yeah, well, NXT, obviously Eamon Manning.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Shane Kennedy and Flexi Nutrition.
Yes. Yeah. Now you're saying them. Yeah.
Yeah, then I know up in Galway, there's Premier Performance Nutrition. Company I used to be involved with, they have their own range of stuff now as well. Yeah. So, off the top of my head, that's all I can think of. I'm sure there's probably a couple of others out there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
I don't use company isn't a specific brand. He's like a wholesaler for a distributor because he distributes my stuff as well.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, because I wouldn't be one to stick with one brand at all. I would like pick and mix. Like if I was to,
Yeah, I'm the same.
yeah. I mean, for the
I got
health,
5 or 6 different brands of stuff over there.
like the problem is like the only issue I would have with working with a company is I couldn't be the guy who says they like everything.
Yeah,
I would have to say I don't take certain things. I will only use what I like to use, and
yeah.
that's it. I mean,
I was the exact same, which is why I never kind of got hooked in with any of the supplement companies. I was asked to get on board with Flexi before, and the few products that he had and set me down, they were fantastic.
yeah,
But again, I would have felt bad saying promoting other stuff that I used if I'm signed up with a supplement company. You know, so
yeah,
I'd like to be able to choose between different brands as well.
I get you. I mean, there's certain brand like even with it's like gyms. I mean, I would join certain gyms for body parts. So I'd go to like certain gyms for body parts. I shouldn't be
Yeah,
doing like, but that's just because like now. But at the time, there wasn't gyms like that had all the equipment. Now there is, so I don't have to. But back
yeah.
when I was 17, 16, I'd get the bus out to like all these gyms in Dublin. There was a gym in Dublin, you probably remember it, and Power Gym, the old Power, the one that was down the basement. It was near the Jervis Centre. It was like,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. That was like I used to train out there. I'd go out to like uh weird
That's
place.
that was one of the most old school hardcore gyms.
Oh
Myself
my,
and Tommy Sutton used to train up there. A whole rake of us used to train up there.
so good. It was so good, but they changed it. The owner sold it to somebody else, and then he changed it. There's none of the old equipment there. It's not the same gym.
Yeah,
Like that hack squat and everything, like you'd come out of it and you'd be fucked. I remember I was going to my girlfriend. I was a shitty boyfriend that weekend because I couldn't go to the club or anything. I was just there. Yeah, you go. I'm gonna sit over here and just rest my calves. It wasn't even the quads. It wasn't even the quad. It was like the calves were just in such sore. They were just fucked. But I mean,
brilliant.
do you think there's any like you're out of the Coliseum? But would there be any other gyms that you would like to like you'd pick and mix like is at this point, or would you just stick with the same gym?
Yeah, no, there is. I used to always train over on West Side for legs.
Yeah,
Now I'm blessed now that Coliseum. They've pretty much got everything in
yeah,
there. The owner John has gone out and bought pretty much anything. You'll hear people talking about equipment in another gym. He'll go out and he'll buy that piece of equipment. So he's great in that regard. But I'd like to go to the West Side. I train out on South Side with Christian occasionally. I've been down to Go Gym in Greystones. A friend of mine owns that.
Jay.
Um,
Jay's on next actually. I have him on for next weekend.
who?
Jay Abbey.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, yeah, no, because I'd be in touch with him a good bit.
Right, okay. Jay be a good
Yeah,
friend of mine, so
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Where else would I train? When I go to Galway, I like to train in Apollo.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, sorry, not Apollo. Sorry,
Is it
Galway City
the
Gym.
Galway
Galway
City?
City Gym. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I like to get around from gym
Yeah.
to gym.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I used to go up to Monaster Evan. The only issue was the drive. So it's
Yeah.
like, but it was more to
Middle of
train.
nowhere. It's a bit of a trek.
It was more to train with people. It wasn't because the equipment's in Dublin for sure. I mean, Westside was the leg day gym, and then I think it was like Raw was the back day gym, and then you had like certain like Gold Gym would be the chest day gym, and I'd switch in and out. But um, no, I'd pretty much I don't know. It depends where I work now. You know, I'm gonna have to pick a gym to work from. So,
Yeah.
but I think like from you, so like I was asking around, and I think my best bet. I'm gonna go into semi-private. I'm gonna go into a smaller gym first, just to get a bit of a base going, and then just
Yeah.
see what happens. Like I'd like to be like yourself and go self-employed. But I want to open a gym, man. I want to open the Irish Iron gym. I just don't. It just take a few years, you know. But
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about location.
yes, yes. I mean, like when you had your gym, I remember I went out back when that was up and running, and that was a
Which
nice.
gym now?
The HD one. It was the one
All
you had
right.
with
Yeah.
Christian.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a bit more of
That was like
uh, little bit more commercial, but it's up from about lunchtime every day. That was as hardcore as you get. That's where we all trained. Because we went open to the public during the day.
Yeah.
So we'd have runners up, tunes banging. And obviously I had Ironhouse Gym before that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember Ironhouse Gym, do you?
I remember. I never went. I never actually went, and the reason being was all the people I know who used to train there, don't train there. So it's like, you know, that's literally it. That's the only reason I haven't been.
If I was to get back into the gym game, that's the kind of avenue I'd pursue.
Yeah.
The hardcore bodybuilding, like what the dream that I had for Ironhouse back then. That's what I try and recreate again.
Like, did you have a part in Ironhouse, or were you just training there?
No, I had two partners.
Okay.
Two business partners, and then I wanted to pursue a different direction then. So myself and a friend of mine, Gary, we opened the HD Fitness in Clondalkin, and we were doing kind of semi-private group PT, and one-to-one stuff. And then we opened up a few selected open memberships for people.
Okay, yeah, no, I never knew you had a part in Ironhouse. I just thought you trained there. So it's like,
oh no, Ironhouse was mine, and I got two lads in on board with me, and we opened it up together. It was there for about a year and a half.
Yeah, because I remember I got a text from Ian Byrne, and he was like, "Oh, you should come out to Ironhouse," and I was like, "Does anyone still train there?" So I'm sure he still trains there.
Eno still trains there as far as well. I was down there a couple of weeks ago, just before the lockdown, training, and it's still the kind of the old school vibe there.
Yeah, I think the problem is though, it's like bodybuilding goes through surges. So I think there's like, you'll get years where you get tons of people wanting that, and then you go through it where people don't. But I think it's coming back. I honestly think it's coming back because there's a lot of young guys who are hungry. Like, I mean, they're just not doing they're not like competing in junior bodybuilding this year, but maybe like in 2 years you're gonna have a good few guys doing it. So there's always customers for it. I mean, like, would you have any juniors or anything you'd be coaching going ahead, or was it apart from Chris?
Not at the moment, I don't think. No.
Yeah,
off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I mean, I competed against Christy when he was working with you, Christy Mooney, but yeah.
At the moment, I don't think I have any juniors on the books.
Okay.
Very few people on the books at the moment because there's no gyms open.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. But look, it is what it is, and at the end of the day, I think we'll get through it. And you know what, Bryan, it was a delight to have you on. And look,
pleasure.
If you want to come on again at some point, we can just focus on some topic. Like, maybe I'll ask and see what they want us to talk about, and blast away. But thanks for making time.
No worries, dude. I'll chat to you soon.
All right. And for anyone listening, do you want to plug before you head off, man? Do you want to plug your supplements just so where people know how to buy them and stuff?
Amino Smart. You can contact me directly, or I can let you know our suppliers now. Brute Force suppliers over the north side of Dublin. There's a few places on different suppliers. Hero Donovan, Supplement Warrior, and Apollo Supplements up in Galway. They're the main stockists.
Deadly, man. All right.
Take a happy
Stay well.